Live from the News Channel 5 studios, this is News Channel 5 at 5.
The system just didn't do what they could have done.
A troubled 13-year-old dies in a car that was speeding away from police. His family wonders if the courts could have done more for him, even at his young age. And this case comes at a time when local leaders are taking a hard look at whether some programs aimed at troubled kids are working or not.
Here's what happened overnight. Look at this wreckage. Police saw in Fairview Park this car weaving with 3 teens inside, and when police tried to stop the car, they say it sped off and crashed in Cleveland at Cam's Corner. The accident killed Josh Nichols. He was just 13 years old, and it left 2 15-year-olds critically hurt. But there's a broader story here, one that affects parents throughout Cuyahoga County. For that, we go live to News Channel 5's Ed Gallick at Juvenile Court. Ed, what's happening?
Well, just 13 years old, Lee, and Josh Nichols had already been through juvenile court. He'd already been through the detention home here, and his family is now wondering whether the system failed him. While officials here are reviewing about a dozen programs, asking much the same question. Do court programs fail to keep juvenile delinquents out of more trouble? A car shattered to pieces, a young life destroyed.
Active boy, you know, a little hyper, you know.
The stepfather of Josh Nichols had been worried Josh had been in trouble. He died on probation. Now the family wonders if Josh had gotten more help, would things be different?
If the system did what it's supposed to, yeah, he would be here today.
It's a very large problem.
The Berea Children's Home runs 6 different programs for Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court, working with lots of kids like Josh Nichols. But now court officials are questioning how effective those programs and others are at helping youngsters learn to follow the law. Teresa Smith says there's no one easy way.
They have so many different reasons why they are unruly, if they're chemically dependent, if they don't listen to their parents, if they don't go to school.
Josh Nichols died young, and according to his family, living fast.
He wasn't one to go down. He just went, you know, just up and gone, you know.
So court officials are now reviewing everything from counseling to boot camp programs. They're also looking at what works in other parts of the country. They'll decide what they like and don't like within the next couple of months. Lee?
You know, Ed, kids can have problems for such a great variety of reasons. I should think it would be difficult to come up with an answer that would help many.
That's the point of the counselor we heard from. There is no simple answer. That's why they have a variety of programs, and that is what they are reviewing right now.
All right, thanks, Ed. Putting this crime into context, while crime overall in Northeast Ohio has dropped, juvenile crime has risen. In Fairview Park, where last night's deadly car chase started, teen crime went up 207% from 1993 to 1996.
What's one of the hottest careers in Cleveland right now? Well, it's the city's hospitality industry. It's the fastest growing profession around. News Chopper 5 is showing you some of what we're talking about right now. Area hotels and motels always need people. They're not just paying for low-paying jobs. News Channel 5's Roosevelt Lefferts tells us the city is working to try to get people to make this a career.
There are some grunt jobs in the hotel business. Bellboys, cooks, waiters, and other jobs that really aren't that glamorous. But there are also managers, directors, and other positions that pay very well. And if you're good at your job, you are a hot commodity in Cleveland these days.
You have 2 competitions. You have your competition for the business. Obviously, you want the guests to be happy to come back. On the other hand, we also have the competition for the employees, trying to find a number of associates to keep a place like this running in the form that we like to see it as.
Sure that we get people who start in a job.
In fact, the need is so great, the city of Cleveland is working with the Convention and Visitors Bureau to get more people into the hospitality industry. The city's one-stop job centers will now start training people for hospitality jobs.
In the first year, put out 80 to 100 new students who are committed not only to the jobs but to staying in this industry. And as we're successful, we'll continue to do more, and hopefully we can put hundreds of new people who are well trained into the workforce every year.
The availability for jobs out there is incredible. There's 3 new hotels going up in downtown Cleveland alone, and they'll need about 750 people. Let alone the hotels that are already here, they always seem to be hiring. The business is so hot in Cleveland right now that over the next year, 750 new jobs will be created, ranging from line jobs like cooks and maids paying about $6 an hour to managerial jobs paying from $25,000 to $40,000 a year. But folks who start off at a low-paying job have a 70% chance of moving up the ladder. These three folks are among the first students in the One Stop Job Center's career classes.
I didn't realize they made that much money in it. You know, I thought it was just, say, they get a little $5, $6 job. I'm tired of those, you know. I'm trying to better myself and my family.
The first Job Center classes start next week, but the need for hotel help is right now. In Cleveland, Roosevelt Loftwich, News Channel 5.
And if you'd like more information about the Hospitality Career Training Program, you can call the Convention and Visitors Bureau at 216-621-4110.
A committee of Pentagon officials thinks it may be able to identify one of the unknown soldiers buried in the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington Cemetery. The committee says the remains might actually be those of Air Force First Lieutenant Michael Blassie of St. Louis. His jet fighter was shot down over South Vietnam in May of 1972. If the remains are exhumed, DNA testing will be conducted. Defense Secretary William Cohen will make the final decision.
Well, on the stock market these days, the only words that can really scare investors are interest rates. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that interest rates could rise soon, and that touched off a plunge on the stock exchange today of over 2%. That's a decline of more than 200 points in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It did recover a little this afternoon to close down 146. The government will deliver two key economic reports on Thursday, and if there's any indication of rising costs to business, it could set off new inflation warning bells at the Federal Reserve.
Well, it's about time this cool air left town. Don Webster joins us from the Forecast Center with the first forecast. Hi, Don.
Hi. Holy cow. What a day we had today. It was cold. You needed your gloves and a muffler this afternoon. Even though we did have some sunshine, let's check around your neighborhood and find out what we had for highs today. And these certainly are not very high. All the temperatures you see in the 40s and the 50s, well below normal. Doppler 5000 radar is not showing anything in the way of precipitation. All is clear. That means we are in for a cold night tonight. We have a freeze warning in effect for the entire TV5 viewing area. Let's have a look now at your forecast. And if you have some young plants out there, cover them up tonight. 6 o'clock, clear sky, sunshine, 44. And overnight, we'll be dropping down to 30 degrees eventually. By 5 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be a cold one. We'll have your 5-day forecast and your weekend outlook coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Don. Cleveland has long been known as the Forest City, and in one neighborhood on the east side, Midtown, trees and investment are helping make Midtown a better place. Here's News Channel 5's Alan DePietro.
People who work downtown and live elsewhere travel through Midtown every day. It's that slice of the city between the Inner Belt and East 93rd Street. If one travels on Chester Avenue, they'll notice newly planted trees on the median, something that was planned back in the 1930s but not realized until now.
These are Cimarron ash, and they were selected because it's a good city tree, and it's a tall tree that'll fill in this median nicely. Plus, it's resilient to the salt and all the traffic.
Those ash trees will eventually grow to 40, 50 feet tall, and when fall comes, the leaves will turn a brilliant cinnamon color. That's the name cinnamon ash. The $70,000 landscaping effort is all part of change coming to Midtown. Midtown, which now wants to be known as Midtown Cleveland, an industrial business district, has even constructed these welcoming pylons on Euclid, Chester, and Carnegie. So it's not only young trees that will be sprouting in Midtown, but also businesses that are here and the businesses to come.
We've had about $55 million in new investment in the last year. We're looking at probably doing better than that in this next year.
Example of new growth, the $7 million headquarters building for Ralston and Company, an investment firm already situated in Midtown and staying. Alan DePietro, News Channel 5.
And in all, more than 250 trees and a variety of flowers will be planted in Midtown this spring.
Well, it's a device that could help save your life someday. At 5:55, we'll explain how this extraordinary piece of equipment came to the rescue of a woman trapped by fire. Then new at 6.
A high school student claims he's being suspended for not turning in a drug dealer and says the high school has violated his due process. I'm Tony Gaskins. I'll have that story coming up.
And it's a simple procedure that could make the world of difference to a family. Up next, modern medicine gives new hope to couples trying to conceive.
Lots of sun out there today, but it was that far from being downright cold.
Don Webster joins us with Forecast 5. When's it going to warm up, Don?
Well, it'll warm up in a couple of days. It was one of those days out there today, if there was snow on the ground, you walked on it, it was squeak. It was so cold, that's for sure. Let's have a look at our temperatures in Cleveland now. And our tower cam look at the city. All is clear, 47 degrees though. It's cold. Down to Akron we go, to the University of Akron. Clear skies down there, 52 degrees. We have a freeze warning in effect all over northeastern Ohio tonight. Let's check your neighborhood and find out how things are shaping up. And these were the highs today, certainly not very high, ranging from 45 degrees at the Great Lakes Science Center to about 51 at Boston Mills, well, 53 down in Akron, 52 in Worcester. Not all that bad down there, but still well below normal. And around the state we go now as we have a look at the whole map of Ohio. It's now 43 in Cleveland, 40 at Mansfield, 46 at Columbus, 40s all over the place. One exception right down to the tip of the state, we have Huntington, West Virginia, and then back up over the Ohio River, 61. Lake Erie water temperature is 51. Let's check Doppler 5000 now and see what we have as far as our zones are concerned. And over on the east side, all is nice and clear. As we come back to the west side, nothing to concern ourselves about there. All is also clear. And down south, everything clear, nothing but sunshine all over the place. So let's have a look now at our sky view, find out what's happening around the country. And as we do that, you can see that there is rain down to the south of us, and it's very slowly creeping up our way, but it's going to take a little while before it finally gets here. It'll be day after tomorrow in all probability. See Mr. Sunshine? He is going to be with us once again. This is how everything is going to move over the next few hours, and that certainly is good news. So let's have a look now at our zonecast and find out exactly what we have. And as we check, first of all, the east side, it is going to be cold tonight. A freeze warning in effect. Temperatures between 25 and 30 degrees. The same over on the west side, not quite as cold, but still between 25 and 30, up around 30, 31 degrees below the freezing point. And then down south, freeze warning in effect once again. So as I said, if you do have young plants out there, you better have a look at those and make sure you get everything all covered up tonight, because they're going to freeze up. Here now is your forecast, and it looks like this, and it's a cold one. 6 o'clock tonight, 44 and sunshine. At 11 o'clock, we are going to have 38 degrees and clear skies. 5 in the morning, down to 30, believe it or not, for this time of year, and it's going to continue to be very, very cold. Okay, let's have a look now at your 5-day forecast, and things definitely are going to warm up. Tomorrow we'll bounce back to 55, we'll have sunshine, and then on Wednesday, quite a bit of sunshine early, clouding over by Wednesday night, 65 degrees. Thursday, a chance of a shower, 63, the same on Friday, and Saturday, 63 degrees. Now, your weekend looks like this. Saturday, sunshine, 63. Sunday, hey, let's have some applause. 70 degrees.
Applause?
Yes.
For that?
Yes, 70 degrees. Okay. All right, let's have a look now at our weather school question. The percent of people killed in mobile homes by tornadoes is about 25%, 33%, or 50%. That's worded. That's worded.
Yeah,
badly.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah, it's worded badly. The number of deaths in a tornado
would be mobile home deaths.
Mobile home deaths, yes, would be what percentage?
Either way, that's pretty tragic.
Yeah,
figure.
sure is. Yeah.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don. Well, it's been 3 years since a vaccine was approved for chickenpox, but the disease is still present. In fact, some cases can be so severe they require hospitalization. The story in tonight's Your Health. The vaccine is recommended for children between 12 and 15 months of age. Researchers at Case Western Reserve University have found it will protect your child for a long time.
Our recent study showed good protection over 10 years, and some of the studies in Japan have showed protection lasting as long as 20 years. Teenagers who haven't had chickenpox or adults who haven't had chickenpox should also remember that the vaccine is available and it works very well.
1 in every 500 children with chickenpox has to be hospitalized. A new study shows that about 13% of all married couples use vasectomy as a form of birth control. But about 6% of those couples eventually change their minds. What are the chances they'll get pregnant? Well, thanks to one doctor, the chances are better than ever. About 12 years ago, David Wilson had a vasectomy.
I had vasectomy because I had 2 children, and we decided not to have any more.
Since then, David divorced and remarried. He and his wife now want a child. He turned to Dr. Mark Goldstein at the Cornell Medical Center for advice.
The findings on examination indicated that the type of vasectomy he had was not that destructive, and I told him I thought I could reverse this with a high degree of success.
In a vasectomy, doctors sever the vas deferens, the tiny tubes through which the sperm travel. To reverse a vasectomy, doctors must reconnect those tubes. But pressure from sperm can cause one end of the tube to enlarge.
This discrepancy in diameters made it technically difficult to get the 2 uneven-sized openings to match.
And that's how sperm is lost, reducing the likelihood of conception. But with the help of a microscopic marking pen, Dr. Goldstein had a timely idea.
By making the face of a clock on the 2 ends and then simply lining up the dots, we can get an extremely accurate reconnection that has no leaks.
And that gives the sperm a better chance to get where they need to go.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, thanks to both the hands of time and Dr. Goldstein, David, Jill, and baby Todd make 3. What do you do? Dr. Goldstein's technique increases the odds of fertility after vasectomy reversal from 86% to 99%. When News Channel 5 at 5 returns.
Challenged children put their best foot forward on the ice, and tonight's story from your hometown.
And on tomorrow's newscast, where to turn if you or someone you know is the victim of domestic violence. What a super program that is.
It scared my fear away. I love that.
What a great way to put it, too.
Still to come on News Channel 5 at 5. Students return to school after a deadly shooting. News Channel 5's Ana Garcia will report from Edinburgh, Pennsylvania.
And we'll take a wild ride inside an out-of-control race car. We'll be back in a moment.
And here's a look ahead to what we're going to have for you coming up tonight at 6 o'clock here on News Channel 5. How's this for justice? An area kid just said no to drugs, and guess what? He got suspended anyway. We'll tell you why. This is Know Your Enemy Week here at News Channel 5, and tonight at 6 o'clock we'll offer you some useful information about home invasion. We'll tell you how a burglar thinks. And in our Your Money segment tonight, why it doesn't always pay necessarily to buy premium gasoline at the pumps. All of these stories are new, coming up at 6. We'll see you then.
Welcome back to News Channel 5 at 5.
Here's a look at today's top stories. Police in Fairview Park saw this stolen car weaving with 3 teens inside. And when police tried to stop the car, they say it sped off and crashed in Cleveland in the Cam's Corner neighborhood. The accident killed Josh Nichols. He was just 13. And it left 2 15-year-olds critically hurt. It's not the first time Josh Nichols had been in trouble with the law. Because of that, Nichols' family says the system failed him.
If the system did what it's supposed to, yeah, he would be here today.
Others injured in the crash are 15-year-old Justin Ashby, who's in critical condition, and Dan Fox is also in critical condition.
If you're looking for a new job, head for downtown Cleveland. The hospitality industry is going to hire some 750 people in the near future. Why the boom? Well, it's because of all those new hotels popping up downtown.
A committee of Pentagon officials thinks it may be able to identify one of the unknown soldiers buried in the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington Cemetery in Washington. The committee says the remains might actually be those of Air Force First Lieutenant Michael Blassie of St. Louis. Defense Secretary William Cohen will make the final decision. Well, the town of Edinburgh, Pennsylvania is grieving tonight. This after a 14-year-old opened fire at a school dance on Friday, killing a teacher and wounding 3 others. Andrew Worst is charged as an adult. News Channel 5's Ana Garcia has more.
At Parker Middle School, the day began with the flag raised to half-mast in memory of John Gillette, the teacher who was allegedly gunned down by a student at a school dance. Although school was delayed for 2 hours, teachers started filing in at 7 o'clock this morning to face what could be one of the most challenging days of their career. As students came to school, they appeared solemn, some carrying flowers, others came in groups, and all were greeted by counselors under the watchful eye of police. And students we talked to seemed overwhelmed.
Like, I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna realize it's all real, and I don't know, just be bad. Cause like I'll see all them people crying and stuff, and I realize it really is real and it's not a dream.
I've been talking to my friends, seeing how they're doing. Seems they're doing okay, but you know, we're gonna make it through this as a team and a newly formed family.
Meanwhile, the community is also grieving, and many turn to their faith. Now, this church has been open all day, so people here in the community can find peace and comfort for themselves and also pray for the families affected.
Praying for the kids that were there, the families of the people involved, the boy that did the shooting, the family of the man that was shot, the community. Any place where something like this happens is never really the same again. Some things are for better and some things are worse than they were before. But I think this will pull the people together.
In Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, I'm Ana Garcia for News Channel 5.
John Gillette will be laid to rest tomorrow.
Public school teachers here in Cleveland have taken notice of the most recent outbreak of guns and kids and schools. News Channel 5's Alan DePietro is meeting with members of the Cleveland Teachers Union in another of the series of Your Turn gatherings with the public. Alan, I'm sure that this latest incident has been the topic of conversation there.
Exactly. It has. The second vice president of the Cleveland Teachers Union believes that the killing of a teacher in Northwest Pennsylvania by that 14-year-old student has simply received too much play in the media. Now, Merle Johnson also has this to say about television news and its portrayal of teachers in general.
When I talk to teachers, the number one complaint is always how the media portrays us. We feel that not only us as teachers, but just the profession of teaching itself is not always portrayed in a very positive way.
We are right smack in the middle of a meeting with the Cleveland teachers from the Cleveland Teachers Union, getting their perceptions of television in general and News Channel 5 in particular. Now back to you folks in the studio.
Alan, have you had any sense from them of how they might want to handle such situations in the future, particularly when kids are verbalizing threats that then they later put into action?
Some of the people we talk to blame media in general. A lot of it on media. They also blame it on parents. When they say media, it's not only television, it's movies, and the culture, the music culture we have today perpetuates this kind of thing with young children today, and also a lack of a sense of a direction from parent or parents at home.
All right, Alan DePietro at a Your Turn meeting, a meeting getting feedback from some teachers in Cleveland. Thanks very much, Alan. Roy?
A man accused of kidnapping his daughters is getting their support. Ted Henry joins us now from the newsroom with that story and others in your world today. Ted?
Hi, Roy. In 1978, Stephen Fagan took his two daughters after he and their mother divorced. Fagan said the girl's mother was not fit to raise the children. Well, after 20 years of eluding the law, Fagan was caught, as you probably know by now, and now faces kidnapping charges. Earlier today in Boston, Fagan's daughters offered their support, saying their father is an honorable man.
No matter what I've done, I've always had my father's love and devotion. And so I have to judge the facts based on the man I know, the man who made me feel secure, happy, and important.
He has raised my sister and I with the highest of ideals, only instilling in us the knowledge and belief that we can achieve anything. He also conveyed the importance of giving back to others as much as possible.
Fagan is free on $2.5 million bond right now. A New York waiter is in police custody because he was caught carrying a gun to work. That's a no-no. Former President Gerald Ford was in the restaurant at the time, and had it not been for the Secret Service agents who were traveling with him, officials might not have known that a waiter actually had a loaded gun. That fella. The Secret Service received a tip about the waiter and his loaded .38 caliber pistol. Police say Mr. Ford was never actually in any danger, and the waiter was carrying the gun because he was distraught about something in another situation. The stage is set for the grand finale of the Aladdin Hotel. It's almost ready to be blown up. Tonight, the famed 32-year-old Las Vegas hotel and casino will be imploded. Now, the Aladdin is the 5th hotel to go up in smoke on purpose in the last 5 years. The 17-story, 1,100-room hotel was forced to close because of the rising number of mega resorts on the Vegas Strip. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what that means. That's probably, oh, that's one of the old ones being imploded. Once the land is cleared, construction will begin on a new Aladdin hotel and casino with 2,600 rooms. There will also be a second hotel and casino with 1,000 rooms, a Planet Hollywood, along with a shopping complex. Now that is neat. Boom! There it goes. Boat race turned dangerous for an American who was trying to set a water speed record. It happened in Australia. Oh, this is something else. Scott Price did set a world record. He covered the course in 5.37 seconds at 217 miles an hour. That's the good news. You're going to see the bad news, I suspect. The bad news is that he lost control of his boat right about there. He then swerved toward the riverbank and hit a group of mangrove trees. Price had to be cut from the trees, but he suffered only minor injuries. Lady luck on his side. Finally, a NASCAR race in Alabama turned into a massive pileup. Watch this. Isn't that something else? Oh, I wish we had sound to go to the pictures here. Dale Earnhardt's car was bumped into a Bill Elliott's car. That sparked a gigundous 20-car pileup. Let's take a look at the view from the driver's perspective. Now watch this. Wow, and the camera's okay. Amazingly, nobody was injured in the accident. Roy and Lee, that was a little too close for comfort.
Goodness. Isn't it? I am always amazed when I see these accidents and that they're so well protected in their roll cages and their harnesses that they walk away.
It hardly bears a resemblance to a real car. It's a real cage.
It's like there's no space even to breathe. You're so much a part of the engine.
Really strapped in.
Yeah, but everybody was okay.
That's good. All right.
See you guys.
Coming up on News Channel 5 at 5.
If you're constantly battling a weight problem, beware, you could be heading straight into another problem linked with the battle of the bulge. But next.
And if you were a little over-eager and planted some tender young plants, you better cover them up tonight. Freeze warning in effect. We'll check the complete forecast in just a few minutes.
Well, the Cavaliers' season's come down to a must-win game tonight at Gund Arena. They trail the Indiana Pacers 2-0 in their best-of-5 playoff series. For more on this story, we go live to Gund Arena and join Matt Underwood. I'm surprised, Matt. The Cavs ended the season on a real up note. They seemed hot. Just shows you how different the playoff season really is.